Good morning, Philippines. God. I just did the review. Took 49 minutes. I just did the whole entire episode review. And in OBS, I did the manage broadcast and I linked the streams, and then I hit submit and go live. And OBS was like, cool. It said like the stop streaming button appeared. And I double checked everything. Something didn't quite feel right, but I double checked everything and I was streaming. And I didn't hit the go live button on YouTube Studio. So, that whole review you didn't get. I'm not gonna do the whole review. They didn't get, I wasn't live that whole time. I hit go live in OBS. I didn't hit go live in YouTube.
Do you have to start all over?
Yes, but I don't want to do the whole thing again. God. It wasn't great as a review. I'll say that. You didn't miss much. I'm glad it wasn't last episode. I've got one concurrent viewer. All right. One concurrent wait, is that me? Because I opened the live stream to check if I was actually live or not. One concurrent viewer. It's all up to you. Why am I giving them the vote? Of course they're going to say do the whole thing again. I was going to say, do you want to do the whole thing again? I'll do an abridged version. I'll do an abridged version. God.
We had a ton of awesome jokes you missed.
No, they were so, it was good, but like this was definitely not one of the best reviews.
Oh no.
God.
Another
No, it's me. It's you. Hello, Logan. It took 49 minutes. I did the whole review. Let's just do it again. Let's see what'll happen.
Round 2. Fight.
My wording's not going to be nearly as concise this time. Much like this episode. See, the transition I wrote in my notes doesn't work as well. I'm going to start...
Good morning, Philippines.
I did that bit already. And I was 100% confident it was the Philippines. Much like this episode's, I'm going to start with the negatives. I'm sorry, Logan, were you here for like the last 49 minutes just waiting for me to go live? Because that's amazing. I think this was the weakest episode of Lower Decks in quite some time, especially the start. I think the ending started pulling it back a bit, but I do think this is the weakest one in quite a while, especially for such a tightly written series, yeah, the whole thing, and especially after last episode. Weakest episode. I'm so disoriented in my notes. I gotta go back to the top. Basically, the premise didn't grab me. The premise of replacing the Texas class with the California class just seemed like kind of such a obviously bad idea. The fact it was being not just considered, but rushed through without any testing. They're like, fine, we'll get rid of the whole Cali fleet. I just couldn't buy it. Whoops, the mic's falling. And that really took me out of a lot of it, because they're specifically saying they're replacing the Cali with the Texas class for second contacts. That is the role that the California class has fulfilled and the Texas class is going to fulfill, is second contacts. Which, with the exception of first contact, seems like the worst possible mission you could give the Texas class. Starting off, it's second contacts are by and large going to be pretty diplomatic missions. Boimler kind of sums it up in the first episode of the series. But imagine you're the alien race, you had first contact X time ago, yada yada. You're, Starfleet swinging by again to do some formal second contact stuff, and they don't even bother to show up. They don't show up, they just send some drone, and they just tell you, hey, we didn't care enough to bother to show up. That's what that says to me. And that's ignoring all the species and cultures and religions that would have a problem with a drone ship. They were vague on if it's like a guy in a chair commanding loads of these, kind of like a Zoom call or something. But even then, I think a Zoom call might be worse. Like, I don't know. It's a hard analogy because it doesn't really happen in the modern times, but and it's a back. It's not really a good colonial example, but it's kind of analogous to Columbus showing up, landing in the Americas, and then he meets, whatever local tribe. He's like, hey, let's be friends, yada yada, and then they leave, and then, like, they just send letters forever. The next time, I don't know. This analogy's falling apart. I think you see my point, though. It's like, you don't even bother. It's when the embassy gets set up, they just send, I don't know, like a prisoner, because they could force them to do it, and they give him a shack. That's your embassy. It's like, yeah. The other point, the pure automation, speaking as a computer programmer, a software engineer, yeah, that's going to go wrong. And I don't even have to argue this point because the episode does. When Tindy discovers the signs of life, and, they have to drop everything because this is crazy important. They've just discovered signs of life, and the Texas class didn't even bother to check because it was just overlooked, and no one was there to realize or think about it. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad this episode brought it up, but this group of Starfleet admirals should really have known before this started that these problems were going to come up, and to some extent would always be there when you go the pure automation route. I don't think I brought up this point originally. Watching it, I'll come back to that one. It also felt, they did bring it back. They started addressing the Mariner stuff later on, but watching it in real time, it did kind of feel, after all that setup and the amazing tightness of the last episode, for a finale, they were going to do something with that. It kind of felt like they just threw it away for what was a pretty generic episode for the vast majority of it. It just, unfortunately, it didn't really grip me. And the episode as a whole, up until they decide to eject the warp core, I just felt like it wasn't really tightly written. Not for Lower Decks, but in general. It just wasn't great. Oh, dang it, we can't do the thing where I have you guess the joke this time. This one's the great one, where Boimler's doing the impressions, of his bosses in front of a door that's behind him, that the other people in the room can see. The joke is so obvious, I thought it was going to be Ransom. They kept it going in case you didn't realize that one of his bosses was going to walk through the door as he was doing an impression. It was so obvious that I had Alex, who hasn't seen the episode, guess the joke. Yeah. That's one example. Others that I thought, God, I've forgotten them again. The first time I did this stream, I didn't remember them till the end. But you have things like this guy wants to destroy the Cerritos, and so using the Texas class, what he does is order. He tells the Texas class to go into independent mode, and then he gives it an order. So he just told the ship not to accept orders. Now, maybe you were saying if he's gonna order the ship to attack the Cerritos, there'd be a log, Well, ordering it into dependent mode, there's sure as heck gonna be a log for that. And he'd probably erase it, but why can't he do the same if he just orders the Texas to fire on him? And also, the top of this star base, and like this whole star base is massive, and there are a lot of windows, and almost certainly security cameras of some sort. So, like, wouldn't any of these people see the Texas class fire first? Or it would be recorded? There's just a lot of little things like that. Some of the exposition didn't feel as clean. Felt a little more unnatural. It just didn't feel like a very tightly written episode. And it was a real shame after the amazingness of last episode and the season as a whole. But it did take me out of it a lot. And it's not bad, but as I said, it's the weakest in a long time. And I think the reason for it is honestly what it felt like up until, again, when they decided to eject the warp core, was a zero effort project, kind of. Like, they put all their focus somewhere else, and you needed an episode. They just filled it. And I am very confident that is because 100% of the effort went in this section of the episode from let's eject the warp core. So yeah, before I move on, Logan talks more about profits than a Ferengi, plus teaching the Riker chair. Okay, I forgot that. Teaching the Riker chair mounting maneuver. I liked that joke. I loved Ransom teaching Command how to mount the chairs. Plus second contact race. Lowell loved it. Definitely the point was to talk about the pitfalls of automation. Okay, so yeah, you enjoyed it. I enjoyed it from the warp core moment on. Like, it just, I think I was expecting more, which is part on me. But I think the first part wasn't as tightly written because this was an episode written for the ending. The moment, the joke with Shax, the sprint down the corridors, like the jog as everyone cheers him on, even though they don't know the plan, they have no reason to be there, they certainly would not be lined up in a beautiful path to the warp core for his victory run. I loved all of that. It's just built off all the TNG jokes about, like, Worf, no one listens to Worf, everything's a fan is built up around the kind of Worf is a joke kind of like storyline that Shax's character is based off of, and all the stuff in this season they've done where, yeah, he always says, let's eject the warp core, and then this one he did. This made the episode for me, honestly. This was I love this moment. I just kept laughing at it. It was amazing. They also, I think, wrote the episode because they wanted this bit at the end with all the California classes. Again, you miss Alex's amazing "oh no, another Enterprise" joke as I keep going to frames with more and more quote-unquote Enterprises. They wanted this. They wanted their underdogs. They wanted their Cali class, you know, taking out the big dog, taking out the Texas class. They wanted that. And they wrote an episode for that. They again, because all the California classes naturally within the vicinity of this fight, and also approximately the same distance, so they can all arrive at approximately the same time. Because if any of them could get here earlier than this, they would have defended the starbase. They would have, or like that Sovereign class would have been like, they would have been like, hey, why are all you Cali classes just hanging out back here? But no, I don't think it's a good way to write a episode is for a moment, because what happens is, yeah, all this other stuff, at least for me, it didn't feel as tight. I don't know what you'd say, Logan. Like, even enjoying it, I wonder if you'd think it's as tightly written or as, like, concise. Because I do think there are a lot of those little problems, or it's some bits that, again, aren't bad, but especially for Lower Decks, were clunkier than I realized, or more than I'm used to, and were set up more than I'm used to, and more obvious than other jokes. It was like early in the season when I was talking about it being a bit too predictable. It felt like everything before the warp core moment was in service of everything after the warp core moment. And that's a shame to me, because I like to say everything from that moment on, ignoring the fact it was built on, for me, what wasn't a great start, was great. That was a great episode. But the shame for me is it felt a lot like they did an amazing job setting up this arc. I talked a lot about that in the last episode. And the last episode as well did a lot of work to set up an amazing place they were going to go. And, having Mariner grow and get back on the Cerritos. And they took all that setup from, the last 3 seasons and then just went, nah. It kind of felt to me like Mariner decides to go back to the Cerritos because she realizes she wants to be a part of Starfleet, something bigger. Sorry, I've said that wrong. She wants to go back to Starfleet. At this moment when she decides, which first off, fair enough, but she thinks she has to think she's going to Starbase 80, which isn't exactly being a part of something greater. Like, maybe she'd try for the Cerritos, but she doesn't realize that everyone thinks... She doesn't realize that the crew even thought they were mistaken, but now know they're mistaken in how they felt towards Mariner. Like, for all she knew, the crew knew what she said and still didn't like it. Like, it didn't feel earned, her decision to go back. By the way, here's another clunky moment, which the episode did address. When Miss Indiana Jones left, Mariner got straight up to start checking her computers. Even though I hate this in shows, like, why not wait a few minutes till you know she's gone? Because she could turn around and come back. Like, anything could happen. And yes, that did happen. That doesn't change the fact it was a stupid decision. At least they addressed it. Another comment from Logan. For sure there's stuff that's a bit more loose this season, but despite that, I'm enjoying it. Everyone has different opinions, and that's one of the reasons I love my channel. They said your channel, but to hear another opinion. Yeah, I'd like to clarify. There may be a weaker episode this season I'm not remembering, but I think this season was exceptional. I think this season was tightly written. It did great things for Mariner's arc. I think this episode was weaker. I definitely loved this season. I still very much enjoying Lower Decks. I'm loving my current logo of the Lower Decks to Prodigy one, like the 2 best Star Treks. I'm just a little disappointed at some of this episode, and as I'm getting into now, how they did the arcs. Because, I felt like Mariner's return wasn't really earned and happened too quickly without any of that earning anything, without that. But I especially didn't... I would have been fine if the next time she saw the crew again was also handled well. I think a conversation with the mom was good. It could have been more, but I'm not at all upset at how it went. I think her interaction with these 3 should have been more. Like, I'm going to assume people have heard everything I talked about in the last episode, where I really went into how good it was, how good that arc, that setup was, the moment of when you see the news broadcast, and I think this undid a lot of it. Because when Mariner goes back and he's like, nah, it's fine, like, it was all my fault. It's like, yes, she has blame, but I think there should have been more, like, she should have acknowledged her blame, but I would have liked something that's, you also, I'm not the Mariner I was 3 years ago. I'm not the Mariner when we all came together. I've grown, and, like, yes, I've hidden that. I don't know why, but I've changed, and so I'm gonna start being the more me. I'm just gonna stop being the Mariner I was and start being the Mariner I am, but you all need to stop seeing me as the Mariner I was, kind of thing. it's okay. We've moved past it, but we both have to change some things. Like, everyone has to change some things that they're doing. And the fact that we just got like, nah, it's all me, we're good, it felt like a regression. And not... It felt like an aggression that doesn't fit with the rest of what happened, because, like, it could have worked if she'd regressed after, like, opening up as she did and them being rejected. But I don't know, I just would have liked more there. Just some kind of growth. And it to me, like everything I said last week about the expectations being put on you, and a lot of that realization is now just gone, because I'm not seeing that here. And it was just a bit disappointing, that specific resolution. And there's other things, like, I don't get why Ransom's that upset about having Mariner as a mentor, because the last time, we kind of heard them talk, he was like, wow, Mariner, like, you're doing great, you've got no citations, you're really turning yourself into a great officer. I don't see any reason he wouldn't want Mariner, which isn't a big thing. It's a little thing, but I think that's my problems with this episode were kind of death by 1,000 cuts for the most part. I do think they dropped the ball on Mariner's arc in this last part specifically, but other than that, it is kind of, my complaints are death by 1,000 cuts. Because that's one of the greatest Star Trek moments ever, the let's eject the warp core moment. And I liked the kind of the callbacks. I liked some of the crews we've seen before. I appreciate the let's get all the Cali classes together moment. I just don't think it was built on a strong enough foundation to justify it. And that's just unfortunate for me. I like the bug people callback. There was an amazing joke. I loved Miggly Moo's. That sounds like a cantaloupe. I want a cantaloupe. Because puns are amazing, and people should stop kidding themselves that they aren't. But also, it felt like just a dumb, like, he's just saying fruit for fruit's sake, but then it's like, a cantaloupe. I loved it. Yeah, what else am I getting? The problem now is, what have I said in the first time I did this stream to myself that I haven't said now?
I was here too. I didn't listen to a lot of it, but I was here.
Yeah, that's true. You're not supposed to listen to the stream because of spoiler stuff. But, yeah, let me skim through here to see if there's anything I'm forgetting. I've covered a lot. There's some stuff I talked about, like,
no, another Enterprise.
I'll say Lower Decks is so good. I know the names of a lot of the actors, and if I hear the actor's name, I can tie it to the character. Not always the other way around. Often the other way around. But this is the only Star Trek whose credits don't go like Patrick Stewart is Jean-Luc Picard that I can say that for. Once Enterprise dropped who they played, I know a bit of Enterprise, like, what's his name? God damn, the Quantum Leap guy. I do know his name. This is just autism not letting me access it. Where? Oh my god. I want to say... I know it's not Jonathan Frakes, but I can't get Jonathan Frakes. I'll come back to him. I know... Jennifer... Jolene Ballock. I know it's a Paul, but, like, you see, that's my point. I know some of the Discovery... Actually, a fair few of the Discovery cast, just because I think they're in the Star Trek news more often. But no, Lower Decks is so good. I actually know a lot of the actors' names, even though the show doesn't tell me. I don't know why I need their character to make the connection, but one day I'm going to remember the guy who plays Archer.
Huh?
I don't think you know. He's a popular actor. He was famous in Quantum Leap. No, like 2005. He played one of the captains, and I can't remember his name. I know his name.
Captain Jean-Luc. God.
Captain Jonathan Archer was played by... I know it. I know it. I'm not gonna Google it, because I know it.
Do you know the definition of insanity?
That's the definition of autism, knowing a name and not being able to access it. And that's not Jonathan Frakes! Stop it, brain. It's not Jonathan Frakes. I don't know. Is his name Jonathan? Like, I don't. Why is Jonathan Frakes in my head? Stop it.
What's
Get
the
out.
captain's name?
Captain Archer. Jonathan. If that's why, it's Jonathan Archer. Don't tell me it. I don't want to know. You can tell me by the end of the stream if I ask. But I don't tell me anything about his name, because I'm gonna get it.
I'm concerned because, when I searched Captain Jonathan Archer, it said death.
He didn't die. I mean, he did die because he's in, like, the earliest part of the timeline.
It's not a Jonathan.
So he died of old age.
Do you want a hint?
No, I don't. But it's Captain Jonathan Archer. That's why it's in my head. It'll come to me randomly. And I still have to think of the Darmok guy.
This is not an English last name.
Stop, don't tell me. I also have to think of the guy who replaced Shax. That guy's name. I can't remember his name. That was from the first time I did this stream. But no, yeah, I didn't have much to say in the scene by scene the last time. I did kind of like they established it's black market traders, whatever, that they're taking artifacts from.
Scotty, 3 to beam up.
You can have dead planets, dead civilizations, because the Indiana Jones scene, if you haven't seen Indiana Jones in a while, the first scene where he seals the golden idol does not age well. He, like, goes into a tomb of an active culture that actively worships this idol, like, picks it up and is like, this belongs in a museum. It just does not age well at all. But, yeah, I like kind of the setup they did to make him in what Indiana Jones was supposed to be, just back in the insert year here. Moving forward, anything else? Yeah, these guys actually did a great job. I thought this is where the episode was going, to show why an automated second contact won't work. Because, like, there's a scene when they beam out where one of the alien guys is very annoyed by the situation and clearly, like, he does not like the fact that Starfleet clearly doesn't care about him or his planet. And yeah, they sent people here, but here's the guy right here that, yeah, Alex thinks he's cute. They're cute.
No, I was just saying the actor's name.
Oh god, don't. I want to remember it, because I know it. I have to prove I know Quantum Leap guy. I've got to... That's not John Cusack. Why is that
It's
name?
not.
I know it's not.
a J name.
That's the guy who... I'm pretty... That's either
It's
the...
an S name.
Don't. That's either the guy who... That's going to throw me off now. That's either the guy who starred in Better Off Dead or wrote Better Off Dead. I don't remember which. I told you not to tell me hints. I should never have let you Google that. I keep nervously glancing at the chat as well. No! Oh, yeah, okay. You can reference Better Off Dead. That's allowed.
And there are many, many Coke placements.
Alright, yeah. And again, it felt like a Strange New Worlds criticism of the editing not matching the story. This planet is only in our universe for like a few hours a year. 10, 20, 30, it's gone. 40 seconds. And this wasn't an edit, because we saw the planet phase in with those people waiting for the transport, and we saw it phase out with those people having just gotten the transporty supplies. It's not John Cusack, brain. Don't know.
The song is a hint, but you don't know the song, so I can
William
just hum it.
Shatner, Patrick Stewart, Avery Brooks,
John.
Catherine...
The Great.
No, brain. It's not Catherine Tate. It's not Donna Noble.
Great.
Kate Mulgrew. That's why I'm confused. Kate Mulgrew. Quantum Leap Man. God.
You want a hint?
No. Okay.
Doing it now.
We'll play it at the end of the stream if I haven't remembered it. The name of the Quantum Leap guy.
But I doesn't know.
Yeah, it felt weird that the Rutherford memory arc, we kind of got that seeds. You know, I've been talking, I thought it'd be season 4. It felt weird that it's just kind of done now. Like, you know, there's still a Section 31 arc that's kind of been set up a little bit, but between Shax, Boimler on the Titan, this, and even Mariner now, the way that was resolved, I do think they're setting a bit of a precedent to where it might be harder to get into their arcs now. Well, the journey might be fantastic, knowing the resolution is either a relatively quick reset button, like Shax was gone for 2 episodes, Boimler was gone for 3, two of which we saw him for. And yeah, I'm worried it might be harder to get into the arcs, having seen how, like, 4 of them have ended now. But, I mean, I probably will when it comes back around. Like, the journey was very much great. And even this arc, I knew after episode 9, like, the Mariner stuff was almost certainly going to be wrapped up this episode. Because that's just what Lower Decks does. I still enjoyed it. But, yeah, Lower Decks is kind of quick on its arcs from, like, just before the end to the end. They do get wrapped up very fast. Also, this call was probably recorded, where he discussed his evil plan. His plan doesn't make a lot of sense. Captain Archer was played by... Nope. Not coming to me yet. Don't tell me. Don't you dare. Okay. Not too much around here. Where does Picard... Don't.
Do we still got chat?
Yeah.
Suggest if I should tell him.
Don't. I've been very nervously looking at the chat because I keep expecting the name. I know his name. I do. Just like I know Tamarian's. It's not. I could tell you that. I knew for a fact it was not Adam Kane. I don't even know who that is.
Well, it says it's one of the dudes that plays him. John Archer.
Was that? Oh, that's probably like
franchise.
when he was a kid.
Of the television Star Trek Enterprise,
I think that's probably like
insert name.
That's probably
Archer
the child
actor.
actor.
Officer of the first Starship Enterprise from 2151. Hey, we're not far. Oh wait.
Yeah.
Math hard.
I do that sometimes as well. I do that sometimes as well.
Played by
Adam
Kane. Fictional universe, Star Trek Origin, Earth. Ship,
How dare
Starship
you?
Enterprise.
Fictional. Everyone knows it's a historical documentary.
Created by Rick Berman and Brandon
Braga. See, I know their names. Rick Berman, Brandon
Family.
Braga.
Henry Archer, father. Sally Archer, mother. Hunter Archer, brother.
Brother?
Fisher Archer, other brother.
No. Brother? Click on the brother's name. I want to see the reference to that episode.
That's just me.
Okay, there we go. I'm like, no, Archer didn't have a family.
Leave me for a second.
It's not. It's that I wanted to see the citation because that might have made me go, oh yeah, he did mention. But I'm like, Archer didn't have a brother.
I like me, brother Hunter Archer, and I was hoping you would get my joke.
Do you
That's
remember?
why I said Fisher Archer after.
Do you remember Kirk's brother?
The one that totally exists and has a nephew that I'm just like, when did Kirk have a brother?
Yeah, he does. He died. If you don't remember name redacted by the end of the stream, you're going to send to the Klingon thing. Okay, I know his name, but I'm autistic, meaning I can't get his name. If I stop thinking about it for long enough, it'll come to me. I'll just be like, oh, I knew that name.
Can we just appreciate that I managed to gaslight Nathan for a second, thinking there was a character in Star Trek that didn't exist?
I wanted the citation. I literally said citation needed for the record.
Well, that's why I said after it, Fisher Archer, because I thought you'd get the joke that I was just naming something.
Here's something I thought of. How long does a show have to go before it's a problem for someone to have a secret sibling? Because we just watched, Alex and I, Data Lore, where Data suddenly gets a secret sibling.
Data Lore.
Well, Data gets a secret sibling, but it's like episode 10, so no one complains. So how long does it have to be?
I think it just depends depends on the character. Like, for Data, it worked with how they revealed it. You can't convince me Spock has a sibling.
But what if it was like season 7 or something, and then suddenly Data had a sibling?
For Data, it works. It would depend on the character and the circumstances.
All right. How long till someone in Lower Decks gets a secret sibling? And it's gonna be Mariner, isn't it? It's definitely Mariner.
It's this chick.
She's not a main character.
No, that's her secret sibling.
Oh, yeah, that's a bit too much. I was gonna say, oh yeah, where does Picard get the money to fund this stuff? Because I don't doubt that many cultures and planets would want to give him money. And I don't doubt that he has things of value, namely artifacts, which selling them, it's kind of weird. But, like, I think it would probably be illegal for him to get gifts from planets and cultures. And even if he could, like, I don't think he would. And it's small questions, you know. This came up in Picard as well, I think. Where did Picard get the money? Like, I see where he could have it, but still, I don't know. Yeah, we'll go through. Like, this was another odd bit. Like, the Texas class was destroying the starbase, and I guess it's a hive mind. It could activate the other Texas classes. I don't really get that. But, like, I didn't see why it was a threat, because this is a huge starbase that almost certainly has defenses, and, like, why the Cerritos wasn't attacking it. It wasn't until this live stream that I realized the point of having the Sovereign class show up was to show how powerful the Texas class was. But that came well after they started attacking the starbase, which never seems to defend itself.
2 more Enterprises!
Yeah, we'll never get one as good as what you did the first time. But what should have happened was the Sovereign class came out of this space dock. It was like the only ship in the space station at the moment, and it got its butt kicked by the Texas classes. That would have made this work. That would have been tighter.
Why is that city made of discs and poop castles?
It's Bespin. It's the Cloud City, clearly, right? It's actually the Earth space dock style station.
It looks like a more line version of the
Cloud
Little
City.
Mermaid.
Oh. What, the one with the penis castle?
Yes, the one with the penis castle.
Yeah. I know his name. I
wasn't about to click on it.
I know it.
I'm gonna go take comment out. If you want to know the name, it's gonna
be
on my screen.
No. Okay. Is the S the first name or the last name?
It's first name.
Ah, dang it. I thought it was the last, and that's why it was throwing me off.
No, the last name.
It's not Sam. Samuel's. Don't stop. What have I told you? Sam. I can't get like Sam, Samuel out of my head. That's the name of a character in this show. I can't get a Sam. It's like Susan. Susan.
It's not Susan. It's a man.
I know it's a man. I know Captain Archer was played by a man.
Captain Jonathan.
Okay, wait. Don't leave yet, because I don't think I have anything else to say. Yeah, oh yeah. Here's something I noticed the first time I did the live stream, staring at this for like half an hour. These cups and stuff are straight out of like a late 20th century television show. It's like the Jetsons or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was weird. And also, there was a lot about the infrared that kind of confused me. Actually, no one back here is applied as well. Like, they don't get the filters. And also, Tindy's eyes are the same temperature as the rest of her head. It was a bit weird. But oh yeah. Dr. Sam Beckett, Quantum Leap. Exactly, Sam Beckett is the name I can't get out of my head. And that's not even a real name. Talen.
But Sam Bucket is from iCarly. Maybe that's what you're thinking.
Is he
of?
really? No, I'm thinking of Samanthan, the character from Lower Decks, and Beckett, the character from Lower Decks.
Sam Bucket is one of the characters in iCarly.
Is that Carly's last name?
No.
What's Carly's last name?
I don't know.
Huh. But
no, it was Sam Puckett.
Tindy and Talen is gonna be great. She's either I noticed she was a provisional crewman or ensign. We had to talk about this the first stream. I can't tell because of the coloring. Yeah, I mean, that'll be fun seeing her. We knew she'd make her way to lower decks eventually if you've been paying attention to kind of the outside the show stuff. I think her and Tindy could have for some fun scenes. But I think that's everything before the summary. So we're going to play the game. Mr. Quantum Leaf, how many syllables is the last name?
So it's not an English-looking last name.
You told me that, but
I assume
say it in your head in like syllables.
I would.
His name's not
3.
weird. I didn't think his name was. How many syllables is the first name?
It's 1. Do you want me to give you
No.
musical hints?
Sam. What are S names? Sam. Sack, like Jack, but with an S.
Tell me when you want a hint, because I have a good hint.
3. Logan wants his 3 syllables. Okay, confirm. Who has an S name? Sam?
Okay, I have a hint for you. That doesn't give it away.
No.
This actor shares a first name with the character on in the original series.
Scott Bucata. See, I know it. See, I knew it was. That was too much. You told me his name. I knew.
Even better is after you said not say anything, it's just me.
I knew. See,
Scotty.
I know Scott Bucata. See, as I say it, I'm like,
Bucala,
yeah, I know that's his
Bucana,
name.
Bucala.
I always just say it wrong. That's just me being bad. I don't think I've ever heard his name. Scott Bucala. See, I know his name, but I couldn't access it because I'm autistic. I know his name. God, dang it.
Is your only
Yes, it's
right
just.
Now your brother.
No, it's Logan. If this is my brother, he's hit it very well. This is Logan's my secret sibling. That gets revealed in season 7. Yeah, not even we know though. It's like a big surprise.
Oh what?
Bakula? Is it really? Scott Bakula. I've never heard his name said. I've only ever seen it and read it poorly. Bakula. It is.
I said Bakula. That's how I would pronounce it.
I've never heard his name, but I think the point is I knew his name enough. God damn it.
I feel like my hint was pretty good.
No, your hint just told me the answer because I knew his name.
It could have been any name. It could have been
any
any of the...
any S name on the original series. Shatner? Is his first name Shatner? Like...
The poor kid's first name is Shat.
Twitter suspended William Shatner today. They suspended his account.
Why?
You don't know about William Shatner. He's a bit of a character. I don't really know what's wrong with Shatner, but I know that there's stuff wrong with Shatner.
I feel bad for any kid who grows up with the last name Shatner, because it has Shat in it.
Okay, yeah.
How do I give a dog a bonus?
Lower decks. We still can't remember. You can just tell me this one if you know, Logan. The Temerian's name. Can't remember his name.
Mary.
That's what I was saying. I hope the Talel, is it Talen? Talen, that was it. Doesn't become like the Temerian character who just kind of disappeared to the point that I don't know his name. Like, I know it, but I can't think of it. I promise, it's a real thing. It's a real thing. I know his name. I'm pretty sure I know his name because I think I used it in the last live stream. Alright, it's okay. At the risk of dating myself, I could never forget him because I grew up watching Quantum Leap. A good show in its day, although in retrospect some stuff didn't age well. Nothing
Quantum Leap
did anything from the early to mid 2000s, like the decade, age well. Even Doctor Who. I haven't seen Shrek in a while, but I'd be amazed if it doesn't have either a racist joke, a sexist joke, or a homophobic joke.
I don't think it has a homophobic. It doesn't have any. In fact, part of the reason Shrek
Did
was
Shrek? You might be right.
Because Princess Fiona kicks butt. They don't make any, yes, it's kind of a commentary on judging people by their outer appearance, but it never explicitly says like compares like being an ogre to being like something else. It's just like you're an ogre. And what was it's not sexist, it's not
Homophobic.
racist. And no, there's not homophobic. In the second movie, one of the ugly stepsisters is obviously trans.
What about the dragon that... Well, no, that was actually...
Yeah, but the evil stepsister, like, once she's a part of the main cast, they just treat her like an average character. And they're just like, yeah, this is...
All right. Well, like, even Doctor Who, that was written by Russell T. Davis, who's coming on to write, like, the gayest doctor ever, that doesn't age well. In part because, like, nearly its entire cast...
The animation in the first Trek doesn't
Yeah.
age well, but...
Well, nearly the entire cast of early Doctor Who is, not a great person anymore. But, like, even Doctor Who was homophobic back in the day. Nothing from back then. But, Scott Bakula is kind of weird, and a lot of that people from then, because, like, it's my time. Like, Quantum Leap probably could have been big for me. I was 5 when Enterprise was canceled, but still, like, he would have been a big enough name, but I just didn't really pay attention. Like, Enterprise is technically my time, but Enterprise was always a show in the past for me. I think I watched it for the first time in, like, 2016. So yeah, it's like, but it's that entire, like, time period is so firmly in its time, and not in a good way, except apparently Shrek. Which, yeah. God, I've done 2 live streams, essentially. You know what the annoying part is? I could have done Prodigy and Lower Decks today, because I ended up doing 2 live streams anyway. Because the first time I did this, I just didn't hit the go live button in YouTube. But, yeah, the conclusion of Lower Decks, Season 3, pretty good. The ending faltered a bit for me, but Lower Decks is still great. Definitely looking forward with what's to come. Prodigy should be should be Saturday, probably noon PST, at 6:36 now PST. Just Google it, YouTube it. Not YouTube. No, YouTube, yeah, will tell you when noon is once I set the stream up. That's what, 3 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. England, sometime around then. But, yeah, good journey. Very strong season. I mean, again, Shax and the Warp Core made the whole episode. This one wasn't quite for me. But, yeah, the season still, I very much enjoyed this season. And I actually, what's this shirt going to be? Before I leave, I'm going to check what this week's Lower Decks shirt is going to be. Because I have that shirt collection. Space Archaeology. Tired of Starfleet Space Archaeology. That one's not bad. Wow, yeah, God, that must have made a noise. I just slammed my phone on my desk. Anything before I sign off? I honestly, I don't know how long the stream delay is on YouTube. It's a little bit. And I'm glad we enjoyed the game of Who is Quantum Leap? Scott Bakula. I knew that. I'm so angry at myself. Any other day I could have told you. But yeah, put the name of who you play in the opening credits. That's all I want. Thanks for the stream. Always like to hear your inside perspective. We can't be afraid of the wind ensign Scott Bakula. Scott Bakula, I'm sorry I forgot your name. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. End stream. Wait, there's a pop-up. I never know how to end these. I've got like 2 buttons.